There's usually a quiet moment when you realize the storm isn't going away. Not today. Not tomorrow. And it stays no matter how hard you try to push back against it, through worry, rage, or regret. It might be an illness, a loss, a past mistake, a door that closed and won't open again. You stand at the edge, fists clenched, heart racing, mind pacing. And yet, nothing moves. Here's the hard truth: some things won't change, no matter how tightly we grip them. But what if peace isn't found in control, but in surrender? Let me walk you through that strange, quiet power of accepting what you can't change. You might just find that in the letting go, something deeper awakens. This video explores the unexpected benefits of accepting what you can't change, a Stoic idea that has been helping people since ancient times. If you'd like to improve your mindset with philosophical ideas, then hit the subscribe button and press the notification bell, so you won't miss any future videos. Chapter 1: Resistance is a tiring god to worship. I used to worship at the altar of effort. I believed if I just worked harder, stayed up later, pushed longer, I could make anything bend to my will. Control felt safe. Like a warm coat in winter. But slowly, it became heavy. Too heavy. It drained me, like a river grinding away at the same stone, day after day. And here's the thing: I thought I was the only one. But I see it in others, too. In friends who can't stop replaying the past. In parents trying to fix every outcome for their children. In people clinging to relationships, jobs, or dreams that clearly no longer fit. We've been taught that resistance is strength. That if we don't give up, we'll eventually win. But that's not always true. Sometimes, the world doesn't move, no matter how hard we push. And sometimes, the pushing breaks us before it breaks the wall. Epictetus said it best: happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle: some things are within our control, and some things are not. It sounds simple, but it's not. It takes courage to see where your power ends. To stop fighting battles you were never meant to win. It takes wisdom to walk away, not in weakness, but in peace. And peace, I've learned, begins when resistance ends. That moment when you stop screaming at the sky and just sit with the silence. When you unclench your fists and realize you don't have to carry it anymore. So if resistance drains us, what heals us? What if strength isn't in the struggle, but in how gently we choose to see the truth? Chapter 2: Acceptance isn't giving up, it's growing up. We often mistake acceptance for weakness. Like it's the same as giving up, or worse, like it means we don't care. But real acceptance, it's not apathy. It's not passive. It's alive. It's a choice. It says, I see this. I feel this. I don't like it, but I'm not going to let it own me. That takes strength. Quiet strength. Not the loud, flashy kind. The kind that shows up in silence. Like a tree in winter. Picture it: bare branches, bitter wind, frozen ground. That tree doesn't fight the cold. It doesn't rush the season. It just stands. Still. Rooted. Waiting. Its growth is invisible, but it's happening. Below the surface, the roots dig deeper. They anchor. They prepare. And when the time comes, it will bloom again. Stronger. That's us. That's what acceptance does. It gives us space to grow inward, even when everything around us feels stuck. It's not about liking what happened. It's not about pretending it doesn't hurt. It's about not letting that pain define you. When we accept what we can't change, we stop wasting energy on the impossible. And that energy, we can use it to build something new. We can live lighter, with more clarity. And clarity, that's real freedom. The kind that lets you breathe again. The kind that says, I don't have to carry this forever. But even as we grow, some of us keep looking backward, don't we? Like staring into a mirror that no longer shows our reflection, just our regrets. Chapter 3: The mirror of the past can't reflect the future. Let me tell you about a woman I met once. She carried a story like a weight on her shoulders: a failed marriage. Years had passed, but inside her mind, it was still happening. Still breaking. She told me she'd replay it over and over, like a film stuck on loop. Rewind. Pause. Regret. She'd change the words in her head, rewrite the endings, rearrange the pain. But nothing ever changed. Not the past. Not the story. Only her peace. It wore her down. When I asked her what would happen if she just accepted it, she went quiet. Then she said, I'd be free to imagine a future. That landed hard. Because isn't that what we do? We stare into the rearview mirror, hoping to see the road behind us. But the past doesn't shift under our gaze. It doesn't rewrite itself because we suffer. It just sits there, still. What it really needs isn't our attention. It needs our forgiveness. Yours and mine. Because until we let it go, we keep reliving pain we no longer need to feel. And we miss what's here. We miss you now. So I ask you, what story are you still replaying in your mind? What moment are you trying to fix with thought alone? Let it breathe. Let it close. Maybe you don't need to solve it. Maybe you just need to stop asking it to make sense. Because healing isn't about logic, it's about mercy. It's about finally saying, that happened. It hurt. But I'm still here, and you are. Still here, still breathing. And once we loosen our grip on yesterday, something unexpected begins to rise in its place, not control, not certainty, but compassion. Chapter 4, Your unexpected companion is self-compassion. Something shifts the moment you stop fighting what is. It's quiet at first, but deep. You start to soften. Not out of weakness, but from wisdom. I felt it myself, that gentle unraveling of the need to fix everything. It starts small. You stop blaming yourself for things beyond your control. Then you stop judging others so harshly, too. Compassion creeps in, like morning light through a half-open curtain, and suddenly, you see clearly. Because when you say to yourself, I can't change this, you create space to breathe. You make room to whisper, but I can change how I respond. That's where the shift lives. Not in the event, but in you. Think of a river. It doesn't scream at the rocks in its path. It doesn't try to lift them or throw them aside. It flows. Around. Over. Through. It carves beauty with patience. With grace. That's real power. Not force, but flow. And we can live that way too. We can let life shape us without breaking us. We can move through pain, not around it, and still come out whole. I once met a man who lost everything, his job, his home, his certainty. But when he let go of the fight to control it all, he discovered poetry. He found language for the grief. And it healed not just him, but everyone who read his words. That's the miracle. When you stop resisting, you start transforming. So I want you to ask yourself gently, what would happen if you flowed instead of forced? What might your spirit shape if it stopped trying to fix the unfixable? Maybe the real strength isn't in the push, but in the surrender. Because when we meet life with compassion, we stop trying to conquer it. We begin to listen. And that's where the real freedom quietly begins. Chapter 5, Freedom is hidden in surrender. There's a strange kind of freedom we don't talk about enough, the kind that comes when we stop needing life to match our plans. When we stop gripping so hard. When we finally exhale. I knew a man once who lost the use of his legs in his 30s. A car accident. Overnight, everything changed. He told me, in those first few months, all he felt was rage, grief, desperation. He clung to who he used to be, to what he used to do. But one day, something inside him let go. Not all at once, but slowly, quietly, and I'll never forget what he said to me. He looked me straight in the eyes and said, I stopped chasing what I lost and started building what I had left. That sentence lives in me. It was the moment he stopped fighting the life he no longer had and started shaping the life he could still create. He became a writer, a mentor, a man who held space with the calm of a still lake. And I watched him grow, not despite the loss, but through it. That's the paradox. We think surrender means we've lost. But real surrender. It's not giving up. It's waking up. It's saying, okay, this is where I am. Now what can I build from here? It's not dramatic. It doesn't roar. But it echoes. Deep. Long, true. And sometimes, that quiet shift does more than all our struggling ever could. So let me ask you, gently, honestly, what are you gripping right now that's asking to be released? What vision, what story, what expectation is keeping you from breathing? Maybe it's time to loosen your hold. Not because you're weak, but because you're ready. Ready for the freedom that only surrender brings. But here's the secret no one tells you, freedom doesn't stay unless you keep returning to it. Letting go isn't a moment. It's a rhythm. Chapter 6, Letting Go is a daily practice. Acceptance isn't a moment, it's a rhythm, a practice, a gentle return. We like to think it's a one-time thing, like flipping a switch or walking through a single door. But it's not. It's a path. One you keep choosing, again and again. Some mornings, you'll feel peace wash over you like sunlight. Other days, you'll wake up wanting to wrestle the same old pain. You'll dig up the past. You'll try to fix what's already fallen. That's okay. That's part of it. That's being human. I do it too. Some days I breathe deeply. Other days, I forget. But the beauty is, we can always return. We can come back, gently, quietly, without judgment, back to the breath, back to the now. And now, this moment, is the only place peace ever lives. Not in the memory, not in the fantasy, just here. Like yoga for the soul, acceptance stretches us. It doesn't get easier, but we get more flexible, more patient, more kind. I once heard someone say, you don't practice to be perfect. You practice to remember. And I think letting go is just that, a remembering. A soft whisper to the heart that says, you don't have to hold this so tightly today. You don't have to solve it all. You don't have to carry the weight every hour. You just have to come back, right here, to what's real, to what's now. And in that coming back, you'll notice something beautiful. Not that life has changed, but that you have. You've become lighter, not because the world is easier, but because you've stopped dragging the parts you no longer need. So today, and tomorrow, and again the day after, practice letting go. And when we return, day after day, something magical starts to happen. Not outside us, but within. That's the quiet alchemy of acceptance. Chapter 7: The Alchemy of Acceptance. There's something quietly powerful about acceptance. It changes the way we carry what hurts. I've learned this not in a single moment, but over time, slowly. Through scraped knees of the soul and mornings where everything felt heavy. We're taught to resist pain, to fight it, to hide our cracks. But the truth? Everything we resist, it persists. It digs in deeper, it grows roots. But the moment we turn toward it, really see it, it begins to shift. That's the alchemy. Acceptance doesn't erase the pain. It reshapes it. It softens the sharp edges. It gives our wounds a place to breathe. I think of kintsugi, the Japanese art of mending broken pottery with gold. They don't hide the cracks, they highlight them. They say, this broke, but look, it still holds. It still shines. That's what we can do with our lives, with our hearts. You and I carry broken pieces, grief, regret, change we didn't choose. But when we stop pretending we're untouched, something beautiful happens. Loss becomes perspective. Suffering becomes wisdom. Grief turns to grace. Not all at once, but little by little. One breath, one choice, one moment of honesty at a time. And no, it doesn't make the pain disappear. But it makes it meaningful. It makes it art. So maybe we're not here to stay whole. Maybe we're here to break, and mend, and glow in the places we thought would always be dark. That's the quiet power of acceptance. That's the gold in your cracks. And maybe, in that transformation, we stop needing all the answers. Maybe we just need better questions, and the patience to live inside them. Finally, as we conclude, I would say live the questions. Let me leave you with something soft, something simple. You don't have to figure it all out today. You don't have to fix every crack or patch every hole. You just have to stop fighting what was never yours to hold in the first place. The need to control, the pressure to always know, the fear of not knowing what's next. What if, instead of rushing toward answers, you learn to live inside the questions? Live the questions now, and maybe that's enough. Maybe the peace isn't in the solving, but in the staying, the waiting, the breathing. There's a quiet kind of bravery in sitting beside your life as it is. In placing the sword down, not because you've given up, but because you've grown wise. I know it's not easy. I've been there too. That ache for certainty, that itch to fix. But every time I've let go, I've grown. Not through force, but through stillness. Through presence. Through the gentle unfolding of each day. So I want you to ask yourself, just for today, what would it feel like to stop striving? To stop running from the mess and sit in it with compassion? What would it look like to trust the becoming, even if the shape isn't clear yet? Let's stop reaching so hard. Let's start resting into what's already here. You and me, we'll leave the questions. We'll breathe the mystery. And in time, without needing to chase it, the answer may rise, quiet, true, yours. So for now, just for now, come sit beside your life, exactly as it is. Let's find out what happens next. Leave a comment, tell me, what are you learning to accept? Until next time, thanks a lot for watching.